Hey, punk rocker. I have been tagged in a video that opines.
There is actually surprisingly little information on how to record your own audiobooks.
And that is a subject about which I know a little bit. I have recorded several of my own audiobooks, and I have recorded audiobooks for other people. And believe it or not, I am not a tech guy. So, welcome to my audiobook recording space. You may notice that this space does not seem to be fully soundproofed. There's a window right there behind me. With the window behind me, with no foam on the wall, obviously this room is not perfectly soundproofed. We will get to that. You're wondering about your initial setup. Well, the most important thing that you are going to need to purchase is a microphone. You cannot use the microphone that's built into your phone or into your computer or into a webcam. Anything that's built into something else is not going to be good enough. But you don't need to break the bank. You're going to do a little research and you're going to see that you could get a condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone. What this is a dynamic microphone. A condenser microphone is really, really sensitive and really, really good in a perfectly soundproofed environment where you really want to hear the vibrations of every string plucked on your acoustic guitar. But it's also going to pick up every creak of your chair and every hum and every bump in the room if you bump your microphone stand or the cord or whatever. A dynamic microphone is not as sensitive, but it is more aimed, let's say, at the subject in this case. Me, when I first started, before I had this microphone, I was using the shotgun mic on my prosumer level video camera. The camera itself wasn't important. The microphone was not built into the camera. I had a shotgun mic plugged into it, and the shotgun mic was aimed at my face. This is a Fifine, I think that's how you pronounce it, microphone. It's about $40 or so, and it is good enough. And it has a dial on it that is very important for what we're going to talk about, and I will get to that. You're also going to need a popper stopper to block the mic from the pops and clicks and ticks and things that you make with the mouth sounds that you make when you're talking. I tend to like to make things rather than buy them, so this is my popper stopper. It sits between you and the mic. So now, obviously, you need to record something, and I record my audiobooks the same way I'm recording this right now. I use my webcam, I use this microphone, and I am recording via QuickTime. I'm going to get this out of the way. Obviously, that's an Apple product. I'm sure that if you are using Windows, there's something like QuickTime that you can use. But QuickTime comes for free with every Mac that you have. So if you're in the Macintosh ecosphere, then you have QuickTime. That's where I do my recordings. You can record in QuickTime audio only. What I like to do, because I'm very used to editing on video, is I record on video. Then I do all of my editing in iMovie. And then I offload that as audio only, and then I do my engineering. You could skip that step entirely if you're comfortable editing audio via just the waveform in an audio app, which is where you have to move to next anyway. There is a free app called Audacity. Download that app. It is specifically for audio editing and audio engineering. Its updates move it a little more towards podcasting, a little more towards live audio. And so I'm not going to tell you exactly how to use Audacity in terms of setting it up, because that's a moving target. I haven't updated Audacity recently because its updates keep moving the needle, and I already know how to do what I know how to do. Some of the features that I use frequently have now been buried in what they're calling legacy controls. People who are more tech-oriented, for instance, on YouTube, can show you exactly how to set up your current version of Audacity. But you're going to download Audacity, and you're going to download the plugin that goes to it that is the ACX Check plugin, which will make sure that your levels are acceptable to ACX after or while you're doing your engineering. There are three things that you're going to be engineering via Audacity. The loudness normalization, which is basically the baseline volume of everything so that it's essentially consistent throughout the recording. The limiter, which sets the upper limit of the volume of your track so that if, for instance, you're recording an audiobook and some character needs to shout, that shout isn't going to peak past the limit that is set by ACX, by Audible, as their acceptable limit so that you don't blow out somebody's ears or so that you don't move up past the distortion level. And the third thing that you're going to set is the sound floor. And that is where we come to soundproofing, because the sound floor is what you hear in the quietest moments of your recording. What do you hear when no one is speaking? In the pauses, in the spaces between paragraphs or between chapters. And Audible will not accept a silent sound floor. There needs to be some hum there, some hiss, some what we call in filmmaking room tone. Room tone is basically the sound that you would get if you turned on your microphone with nobody speaking, no music playing, complete silence in the room. What do you hear? Now, this dial on your microphone is called the gain, and you can think of the gain as the opposite of volume. It is how sensitive the microphone is. So if you're turning the gain up, it's going to be more sensitive. If you're turning it down, it's going to be less sensitive. I turn my gain down to the point that you can hear my voice, but the room tone is silent. ACX doesn't want that. But I want that, because this space is not perfectly soundproofed. And the truth is, you are not going to achieve perfect soundproofing in a home environment, in a DIY studio, unless you want to spend a lot of money creating buffer spaces between walls and walls. You can get foam pads and things for your walls and your ceilings and things like that. Those things help and they will work. This room is a good environment to record in because there are lots of books that absorb sound. There aren't a lot of hard surfaces in here, but there are hard surfaces. Look at all this behind me. But if I turn my gain all the way down to the point that there is no room tone, absolute silence between my words, and then I do my recording, I do my editing, and then when I'm editing in iMovie, my last step of every chapter that I have finished editing is I add the room tone back in. I have a sound effect, a room tone sound effect that I lay in underneath the audio track of the entire file. And I dial it way, way down so that it's super, super quiet. You can barely hear it. Depending on what I'm reading, I will make it a little higher or a little quieter, because the room tone actually helps in your storytelling. So something like the movie The Shining, for instance, has a very present room tone that helps tell the story in its silences. But then something like a romantic comedy, something along those lines, it has a room tone, but it doesn't have an important room tone. So if I was recording, for instance, straight ahead romance, I might have my room tone dialed down as low as it would go so that it's completely unobtrusive. But if I'm recording something that might be a moody psychological horror piece, I might have my room tone bumped up a little bit to make you uncomfortable. Then in the engineering, you will set that room tone quiet enough that it is acceptable to ACX. And that is the secret hack that Big Soundproofing doesn't want you to know. You can use this microphone in this unimproved office and you can record your audiobook. Now, there are lots of other steps. There are lots of technical things that I'm not going to get into, that I'm not qualified to get into. The tech side was the biggest hurdle for me. And for those things, there are people out there who are much more qualified to give you advice. But everything that I've said here today will get you going. A good microphone, a dynamic microphone, doesn't have to be too expensive. Find a way to record yourself that you're comfortable with. I use QuickTime. Download Audacity. It's free. Download the plugin for ACX. It's free. And remember to set your gain so that it compensates for how unimproved your recording space is. Audible hopes you've enjoyed this program.